right, welcome to Two Scoops Podcast. I'm your host, Dayton Rivera, and today we've got a special guest, Bailey Mangen. Welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here. Excited.
Right when I started this, I was like, yeah, you'd be a good one to have on here.
Right? No, like I said, I'm glad I could make it out. Glad I could get my shack out on the lake here. It's not ridiculously cold like it has been, so that's
Right.
nice.
So what I got now is you are a Burnett County Deputy, K9 unit with your pup Croy.
Yes.
Specialize in drugs.
Yeah, so he's a dual purpose canine. So
Okay.
It's narcotics and then patrol work. That's kind of what we're into, what our go-to is. So there's a bunch of different odors that he's, trained to alert to or whatnot, and then the patrol work is criminal apprehension, tracking, that kind of stuff. So he's pretty good at it. Put a lot of time into it, and
he's awesome, man.
Do good work. So
Croy and you are a perfect team.
I appreciate that.
So, how'd you get into law enforcement?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, we all dress up in, as different stuff in Halloween or for Halloween when we're younger and stuff. And for me, I used to always dress up as a cop and police officer, stuff like that. So, as far as I can remember, it always used to be something, that interests me. But then as I got a little bit older and stuff, I realized that it was something that like I was legitimately interested in or whatnot. So, went to high school. During high school, I actually had the opportunity to do an internship with one of our local police departments. That was super cool experience. Got a lot of good like insight of what the job actually was, opposed to what you just think it is. So did the internship. Knew that was exactly what I wanted to do. Went to college. Went to a university for a couple years, and then transferred to the tech school. Went to the academy, and then got hired on the road.
Oh, that's separate. College and the academy.
Yeah. So in Wisconsin, it's still the same way from what I went through. But you have to have 2-year degree or 60 credits, whichever comes first.
Okay.
And then after that, with those credits, you're eligible to apply and enroll in the academy.
So before you even went to college, you knew you were going to be an officer.
I knew that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Okay.
You still have to so you have to go to college for whatever.
Right.
I took criminal justice classes, and then after that, I applied at the academy, which is like.
That's you, man.
That's me.
That's right away. Oh yeah, man, you're the guest. Come on.
Right. Well, let's see it.
Pause. No freaking way. You got something?
Yeah.
You kidding me?
No.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
You're on the board, man. Nice.
That's what it's all about.
Not the biggest, but has a good personality.
It does.
All right, that was quick.
It was a fun interruption.
Nice catch.
Thanks.
No, I love that. Just a little extra flair to a podcast. Like,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
you might catch a fish.
Yeah, it's unique.
Yeah. We're talking about your college.
Yeah.
In the academy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
Proceed.
Right. So you can. It's a little different too, because especially with the shortage of like police officers in the world right now,
dude. Yeah.
There's a lot of departments that'll hire you to go to the academy. So then they pay for the academy.
Did you have to pay for all your stuff?
I did. Yeah. So I just chose to.
Yeah. Different time back then.
Well, yeah. When I started, it was a little bit different too. Like, it was starting to get more common for departments to like sponsor
Right.
applicants and stuff like that. Now it's pretty much like an always thing. Like, if you're going to go to the academy, you're sponsored, which is nice because it's demanding. It's time consuming.
Yeah.
It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's time consuming, and it's Monday through Friday.
I think you're being modest.
Right?
I feel like a lot of the public doesn't see what you guys go through.
Right. Well, and I think that's true. With the academy, it's essentially a full-time job. So then it's hard for folks that like don't have a job or don't have an income, because then they're doing part-time work on the side where it's, weekends you're off for the most part, and then evenings, but you spend all day in a classroom learning, and then you're going to go to work after,
Do it.
So if possible, people do it, but the sponsorship's the way to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then, I mean, financially wise,
Oh
for you
yeah,
not to pay for it,
yeah.
even better.
Well, not only do they pay the upfront chunk of the school, but then when you're sponsored, you get an hourly wage when you're there too.
Oh,
So you know, even
oh,
if it's
double
a training
dipping.
wage,
Well,
yeah,
not double dipping, but
yeah.
just a lot cheaper, and
Well,
you
even
make
if it's
money.
just a training wage, you
Right.
know, $15 an hour, it's
Whatever.
something. You
Yeah.
know, like you're gonna be there either way.
Dude, that's
So
nice.
yeah, it's nice. It was like I said, it wasn't a huge deal that I didn't get sponsored. It ended up working out in the long run for me,
Yeah.
but wasn't I'm glad that people can now get sponsored because it also gets their foot in the door too.
Right.
You know, so
And then when you went to the academy, do they have a separate section for guys that want to go into the K9 unit? Or
no, that's a good question. So like with the K9, that's honestly it's just a different like specialty in the job per se.
yeah.
It's funny because like even now looking back, everybody that wants to be a cop wants to handle a dog.
Well, yeah.
Because it's cool, you know, why
Yeah, it's
not?
awesome, man.
The
You got
reality
this
is
fur missile.
right,
Like, that's your buddy.
right. No, and
Every day is with you.
right, and I think it's one of the best jobs on earth, obviously, or the best job on earth. But um, there's a lot of time, a lot of departments require like a little bit more experience
Yeah.
before you get an opportunity like that. And it's nothing but for good, It
Yeah.
gives you more experience to learn how to do the day-to-day stuff, and then it's a big commitment for a lot of,
Yeah.
Especially the canine world because it's just, you bring work home with you every day,
Right.
So, but no, there's no specific like different route per se in the academy. But yeah, and then I got hired with the sheriff's office. I worked for a couple of small departments part time for a little bit, and then got hired at the sheriff's office.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, just smaller,
Yeah.
municipalities.
Yep.
Got some good experience there, and then got hired at the sheriff's office, and been there since. And it was a year and a half in. I got the opportunity to apply for the canine position, and
Oh, okay. So you sought that out
yeah,
and had to apply. Okay.
yep, yeah. So
I didn't know if they were like, "Are you interested in doing this?"
I mean, they put most departments have put like feelers out.
Yep.
Where they try to plan because it's a big commitment for a department to put a dog on the road. So
Yeah, like right off the bat, aren't the dogs like 20 grand?
just depending on where you get it.
Yeah,
if I
like as a
remember
puppy.
right, yeah,
Not even the training.
yeah,
After that.
yeah. If I remember right, I think when we got my guy, excuse me, he was like 15 because he was imported from Slovakia.
Right.
So the 15 in our case covered the dog and the training, which was kind of nice.
And what is he? Is he German Shepherd
Yeah,
and
he's
Malinois?
he's a German Shepherd, just
Straight
purebred.
German Shepherd.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's a big commitment, but yeah, it's just an application process, like essentially an inside hiring where most departments don't open it up outside just because they want you to have some experience at the department. But yeah, I to be honest with you, I applied for that position hoping that I would get like the next dog in line, and I was selected to handle that one or that go around.
Perfect.
So I was
perfect.
I don't want to say scrambling, but it was
Yeah.
kind of surprising at that point just because I was pretty new in my career. But got the opportunity, started to run with it, went to training with Croy and finished that. And
he was
hit the
like,
road.
I think I remember a story you told me, like he was like one of the top in his class or the top.
He learned really quick. So he picked up on a lot of stuff. He was super like calm, just very cool-headed, I should say.
Yep. Very nice demeanor.
Yeah, that's a good way to
But
put it.
also can flip a fucking switch.
Right, yeah.
Like,
well, like I said before, he does good work. He works hard. We put a lot of time together, but he works hard. He's easy to to get on track and get what we need done when we need when we need to get done, or when we need to get it done, I should say. But we hit the road running, and it was about 3-ish months that we were in training for, and then hit the road and started working the road and been on the road since. And he just turned 5 in August, so we've been together for several years now, and he's a good dog. He works hard, and like I said, gets the job done. So
it's awesome to see you around. Like when you go to different events, like the last event that I saw you and Croy at was Granttoberfest, and his demeanor towards just like the community, where he's like very calm and like lovey-dovey almost to the kids and stuff, like super great with kids. But like as adults, like that thing's an animal when it wants to be.
Right. Well, that's a cool thing. I learned so much when I got the opportunity to be selected for this position that like in the 80s and stuff, they used to just get like the meanest fucking dog they could imagine. Where it's just taken such a huge switch now where
like don't even look at them.
Right. They used to go down to the pound and like we want that one.
They take strays?
Back in the day, like where I went to dog school, they used to tell stories of like in the 80s and stuff like that. There was no like political correct, way of doing things back then. So they didn't care what they got,
Right.
But in today's day and age, like that doesn't work, and
no.
I enjoy the fact that I have a social dog that I can take to like Grand Oktoberfest, and he's still a member of our department, but he's also a great community, I guess item or
dude, your dog's
thing.
awesome.
So
I love that.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's the best job on earth, and I enjoy every second of it, or most every second of it. So
no, that's super interesting. I like that. I didn't know that your whole story with the academy. I didn't know you had to go college first, then academy. And what I was gonna ask you is, did you get tased in the academy?
Yeah. So I went through Chippewa Valley Tech, and that was just kind of a thing you do it,
Dude, there's two videos I love to see is like dudes whose hub shacks are flying across the lake and like the taser videos of academy where you see like the biggest buffest dude and he gets shot and he's like, ah!
Yeah. No, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable.
I bet not.
In my academy, we were exposed to both the taser and pepper spray.
I'm sure that's a joy too.
Yeah, it's not fun. Neither of them are fun, but it makes you think about, what at least what it feels like when you're out there on the road and stuff. And it's a good exposure. Even though you don't like it, you're scared, leading up to it. But it's, for all intents and purposes, it's a good exposure. It means well. So, but yeah.
Good tools to have.
They are. They're phenomenal tools.
I hope you can actually convey this out, but if you can't, just let me know.
Yeah.
But what are some of the biggest issues in our community? Like, maybe not, county-wise.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's interesting. So I grew up in the county that I work.
Right.
And you look back on the way that you were raised and stuff like that, and, fortunately, I wasn't subjected to a lot of the stuff that I am now through my job. And that's a blessing, like you don't even know some of the shit that I deal with now.
Kind of ignorance is bliss.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Just the idea of people, if they don't know about it, then it doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's obviously not true,
No.
So, there's so many things that happen now, in my job that I had no idea about.
Oh yeah.
It's not a secret. Mental health and substance abuse are giant issues in our area, especially in Burnett County. I was at Grantsburg School just a couple weeks ago doing a demonstration with Croy, and a 5th grade class had put together some questions, and they asked me, like, how often do you see somebody or deal with somebody who is, either high or under the influence of drugs?
Right.
And it's every day. It might not be coming in contact with the drugs or finding drugs, but it's somebody who is a substance abuser who's struggling, or somebody who was victimized by somebody who is addicted to substances and is burglarizing houses because they're trying to sell stuff to feed their addiction. It's just a big wheel. It's just a big revolving door. And I would say the biggest thing is substance abuse and mental health. It's everywhere. Mental health issues are crazy. And that's one thing too, where it's like, if you don't experience them or don't have a loved one that experiences them, you just don't know. And then if you don't know, you don't, you can't even speak on it because you just don't know. You never experienced it, never had to. And I think it's difficult for people to, I shouldn't say that. It's difficult for some people to look at it through that lens, of, man, that's a big deal, or it might not be a big deal to you, but it's a really big deal to somebody else.
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
So
you
have no idea.
Mm-hmm. And that's huge.
Yeah.
So I would say those two are huge issues in our area. We're busy all the time. through my department. We got stuff going on all the time. We're busy answering calls for service, responding to calls, doing proactive stuff. Uh, but like I said, some of the stuff that I see all the time is just that repeated substance abuse from
Frequent
people.
flyers. You just
Yeah, and like I'll be honest, that was something too that I learned a little bit later on in my career. Is just because somebody uses drugs doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Right.
Addiction is a very real thing. It's things that, it's something that somebody struggles with,
Right.
and it affects people different. But that's one of my favorite parts about my job is to, I should say, work on drug related cases or substance abuse cases, but not only to work on those, but to also talk to people, because nobody wants to use meth. Like nobody
no one's like, I think, okay, we just had this conversation last night, but it's like, it is no secret meth is bad.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Right.
It's
such a common knowledge that's like, if you do this, your life will probably go
decline.
downhill.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and that's
so like, what gets you to the point you're like, I'm gonna do that.
Right. And I can say too, like that's something as a super young police officer, I feel like I struggled with that was, like wrapping my head around that, right? Not looking at somebody differently because it's like exactly what we just said. Dude, you knew this was bad.
Right. Yeah.
Why are you using it? But at the same time, now I think that I have enough experience where I can look at things differently and think about like
how'd you get to that point?
Yeah. And like they don't want to be in that position. They don't want to use drugs. They don't want to, be homeless. They don't want to have ridiculous medical issues because of the substance abuse. It's just
it's freaking sad, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like,
and I think looking at it, I'll say objectively, it's easier to not understand, but start to understand.
Right.
And that's
not condone it, just like understand the reason behind it, sort of.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think on like that same note, it's not the end of the world if someone becomes addicted to like anything, drugs, whatever it is. There's always light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And there's a way out. And a lot of people struggle with maybe maintaining sobriety or getting to that point.
Right.
But at the same time, a lot of people just look for something, a glimmer of hope per se, where it's just like they want to get through this.
Yep.
And sometimes I think in law enforcement, we can be a opportunity for that. Just because somebody's going to get in trouble doesn't mean that they always have to, go to jail and it be the end of their, the end of their life or the end of whatever,
Yeah.
So
is there anybody, like, I don't need any names or anything, but is there any, I would say frequent flyers that you have multiple passes with that is actually seeing the end of the light, like getting into programs and anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, man.
And it's one of the coolest things, and it happens, I think, for most police officers.
Yeah.
At some point in their career, they're going to get thanked by somebody they arrested.
Yeah.
And to me, that's happened, maybe a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's just the idea of, like I said, some people are just looking for a way out.
Right.
And sometimes that might not be what you think it is, for these people.
Right.
Where I still think there's a state trooper that he's now retired, but he asked me when I first started working, actually when I was interning with that police department, he asked why I want to be a cop. And I was like, well, because I want to help people.
Yeah.
Which he didn't. That wasn't a good enough answer because he's like, oh, that's not a good answer.
Yeah.
You got to come up with something else. So I thought long and hard about it, and I saw him a while later, and he told me that he wanted to be a cop to help people and stuff like that, but wanted me to come up with a different, more in-depth reason. Right. So I thought long and hard about it, and I think now looking back on that conversation, I enjoy my job because I get to work with people on the worst or the best days of their lives, and sometimes everywhere in between.
Right.
And somebody's worst day might actually be their best, and that's cool.
May not be the best like at the time, but like that pivotal moment
exactly
where they look back and go, oh man,
I needed that.
But yeah. Right.
I didn't want that to happen, but I
Right.
needed that to happen.
Oh man.
So I'll
Yep.
say that's one of the, I think now looking back, that's why I like what I do,
Right.
is because of that reason. You get to work with people on the best days and the worst days of their life,
Yep.
which is unique. Not everybody gets to do that.
No.
You know,
Yeah, no one really calls the sheriff's office when
everything's
everyone
going
calls.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
finances are good. We're not
Right.
fighting. We're not. Yeah. Usually we don't
I would
get
say
those calls.
100% of the time it's something bad.
Right.
Yep.
Or something that somebody thinks is bad. You know.
False calls.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That kind of led into one of my questions. It was basically, is there a point, or has there been a point in your career that kind of like made you step back and like go, holy shit, like this is worth it? Like, is there a specific instance where you're like, dang man?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think that I've been fortunate enough to be involved in some cool situations,
Yep.
or like I would say cool. I mean, a lot of people, other people probably wouldn't be like, well, that actually sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can think of any like specific ones. But anytime that you have contact with somebody later on, and it's
Right.
a positive contact,
Yep.
and I can tell you one. We chased a dude around for months. He had warrants, was using drugs, was always running from the police.
Yep.
I specifically chased him a couple of times, and he got away. And I had heard that he got picked up and was going through treatment and doing all that stuff. And we actually ran into him. I was working, but I ran into him at the Grantsburg Fair.
Yep.
And I was watching him, and like cops run people, run checks on people. Like
Right.
we can do that. We do that often. It's part of like the proactive piece. But I ran a check of him because he's had warrants in the past, and you never know where somebody's warrant status is at.
Right. Yeah.
So I ran a check of him, and he came back with no warrants, and he actually walked over and came over to talk to me. And we had a super great conversation. Yeah. And he's just like, of course, we went back and forth a little bit where it was like, hey, dude, you just couldn't catch me, could you? And it's like, well, we only have to get lucky once. You got to get lucky every time. But that was one of those experiences for me where he was sober. He was doing the right things. He was on like a weekend pass from his sober house or whatnot, and just doing all the right things. And he, that was one of those instances where it was, that's awesome. It's good to see somebody in that light.
Right. You guys don't feel it. I'm sure like for the most part, someone's like, oh man, the cops are here. But like after that experience, for them to come back and go, man, I'm actually thankful that you were right there.
Well, I think too, like the small town thing, it's hard because everybody looks at, especially that I grew up here. I struggled right away because people, they think you might treat them differently, right? And that's a hard navigation for any new guy.
You got a job.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like, most people know that, but there's also some people that don't.
Right.
But for me, one of the things that I enjoy the most about how I've learned how to do my job is like I can be very consistent and very matter of fact, but still not be a dickhead.
Yeah.
And I can still have a relationship with people that we deal with where it's like, nah, like he's decent,
Oh yeah.
It's a good experience when you go into a house or you talk to a group of people or you stop a car and like one person is like, hey, quit giving him shit to the rest of the people. Like, hey, he's fine. Like he's just doing his job. Leave him alone. And that only comes from previous contacts and you being decent and honest and fair with people.
Right.
People remember that. It's just like anybody else in the world. People remember good things, but they remember bad things more than good things. So don't give them bad stuff.
Right. You're totally right.
Don't give them bad stuff. Just be decent. There's days that suck, just like every job. But
I'm sure there's probably more that you're not telling us. Like,
yeah, I mean, it happens.
We don't have to go there. But
no, it happens. There's always stuff, and I couldn't ever go do a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 like where you do the same thing every day.
Oh, no.
Every day I go to work, it's something different. Even if you have nothing going on, it's different. Because you can go to a different area. You can go, look at different things. You can go talk to different people. It's never the same, which is one of the great benefits too. So,
right. No, I'm sure you've got quite the curveballs thrown at you. Like,
yeah. It's fun. Some of the problem solving stuff, people call the police for everything. It just sometimes it's
What's the most mundane one you've had?
I don't even know. My favorite is when people call like our dispatch, and our dispatchers are great. But they'll call our dispatcher. And this happens all over the country. But it's like, hey, my furnace went out. All right, well, I guess I can come look at it.
Kind of an emergency if it's, but
yeah, I don't know who to
number.
call. I don't know who to call. It's 2 a.m. It's cold in my house.
Right.
My furnace quit working. So that kind of stuff is, like I said, you get to do everything. You get a piece of everything, even though it might not be law enforcement related. You know, we still get called and still go handle stuff and help people where we can and stuff.
So my mom used to be a dispatcher.
Yeah.
And she told me that on full moons, the weirdest stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's true. It's
Yeah.
just like fishing, right? We fish moon phases.
Yes,
we do. It affects people just the same way it affects fish. Moon phases, holidays, all that kind of stuff affects people. Thankfully, we live in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's great, especially up in this area. So summertime is busy. Holidays are busy.
I love our area so much.
And so do I. And that's why I came back here. I'm so grateful to work in this area. You know, get to do all the stuff that I enjoy. Like
4
fish
seasons.
And hunt and do all that stuff.
Right.
It was a passion of mine before I got the opportunity to be a canine handler. The K9 thing. I think you bumped it with your arm, maybe.
Just turn that off. Oh. Sorry about that.
Nah, you're good.
I got quirks. This is my second one. Like,
no, but like I said, my passion at work before I had the opportunity to run a dog was drug work.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's always interested me. It's very interesting. It's like the drug world changes so fast, and there's always people changing things, doing things differently, stuff like that. So I found a huge passion in that early on in my career, and it still is. Thankfully now I have really branched out in some of the stuff I do. So my department's great. They're very like, if you're interested in something, run with it.
Yeah.
So I've got to be a part of some cool, different like drug investigations.
SWAT stuff too?
Yeah. Both Croy and I are attached to our SWAT team. So that's another awesome opportunity to be involved in different stuff. But no, the drug investigations are cool. Like, you spend as much time as you can on them, and it's interesting for me because there's always something going on, right? Like, the drugs never stop. And people never stop using drugs. Yeah. And you look at it across our country, and there's 3 things that make crimes happen, or that drive crimes. It's sex, money, and drugs.
Right.
Like, I challenge anybody to find a crime that doesn't
revolve
revolve around one of them.
Right.
So thankfully, like I said, I've had a lot of good opportunity to do some drug investigation stuff and work some different drug cases, and kind of look at it through a broader scale now, opposed to like roadside drug stuff. I still do all that because I enjoy that too, but doing, like I said, some larger scale investigations with like controlled buys and informants and stuff like that, which is a whole different world that I'm starting to kind of learn and look forward to learning more and have more opportunities, stuff like that. So,
all right, I want to take a minute and thank my sponsor. First off, we got Fights Backwoods Beer and Bait. His name's Joe. He's located off 70 and Fallen. Good dude. He's supplying all the minnows we've got tonight. And Leaf and Lumber Construction for deck doors, windows, and more. I'll leave his Facebook link in the description. He'll probably film your whole project. Back to the show. Do you have any like insanely hilarious arrests?
I don't know about. I mean, there's some. When you're new, it's hard because you look at things and you're like, I gotta be serious.
Oh, man.
You get a little bit more experience.
Professional face.
Yeah. And it's hard because at some point too, like, dude, I'm a human. Like, I'm gonna try my best, but at the same time, it's okay to be like, okay, I can't.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
man?
like, come on, why are we doing that? And that happens all the time. Like, more times than not, you look at something and you're like, okay, why are we doing that? You know, you look at people do things. Like, I remember last 4th of July, it was difficult for me because I struggled all day, because it's like all day long, we just told people like, hey, that's not a good idea.
What were they doing?
Just everything you can imagine. Running across 4 lanes of a highway.
lighting fireworks.
Yeah, lighting fireworks
off,
on the side of the road.
Yeah, okay.
Just doing things that like on a normal Tuesday you'd be like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's dangerous. But then because it's a holiday, you're like, well, actually, I'm gonna try this.
I'm sure when your job gets to be like, I'm babysitting adults, that's got to kind of be annoying. Like
sometimes,
you guys,
and sometimes it's just like, hey, this isn't a good idea, so let's not do it, or let's stop it now, opposed to wait. Yeah, like please, it's not gonna end well. Right. Let's just move on to something else. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's fun. It's always different. It always changes. So just depends on the day. That's it.
I love it. I didn't know most of that stuff about you, but that was, man, she is popping out here. Making ice. I mean, it's the warmest it's been today since 3 days. We've been in the negative like 20s.
I think it's been like 4 days almost.
Oh, it's brutal. And then when it gets to like 5 degrees and you're like, go at your door and you're like, oh man, it's kind of warm out.
I could be a sweatshirt today.
Oh man, it's 5 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other than being a distinguished deputy, you are an avid outdoorsman.
Yes.
Would you say you liked hunting or fishing better?
It depends. That's the cool thing about living up here. Is it just depends on the season.
Yeah.
We do a lot of open water fishing. That's something that I'm so happy that, like, our family has instilled in us.
Oh, we're cousins.
Yeah.
We didn't say that at the beginning.
We didn't say that. No.
I don't know. But I'm a lot browner than him, but we're still cousins.
Right? But no, like that's a real thing, right? I'm happy that our families instilled this on us, and it starts with somebody, and it's our our family members, our dads, our grandpas, all that kind of stuff. And I will relate that directly back to my job. That's what keeps me sane. That's what I enjoy doing on my off time and stuff like that. So I guess I don't know if I like hunting or fishing better. Depends on the season. I like ice fishing, but I like duck hunting too. So
I haven't been duck hunting that much. Yeah. Actually, ever. I've been goose hunting.
Yeah.
But never ducks.
We do some of that too. It's fun.
So me and Michael, do you know Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of a running joke we've had through the years was, like we'd get all this equipment for fishing and we'd kind of like validate it with being like, hey, it's cheaper than drugs.
Yeah.
But if you look at a $20,000 ice castle,
you buy a lot of drugs for $20,000.
Man, is it?
Yeah, I hear you. We just had that conversation. My brothers and I were looking around. It's just like, God, we have so much money,
so much stuff.
So much stuff, so much money wrapped up into this stuff. Where you look at other people who go out.
It's fun. We love it.
Yeah. But you look at some other guys who are out on a bucket, and you're like, that bucket doesn't cost that much.
Okay, so I don't think I guess I don't know. But so when I started out ice fishing, it was with Grandpa's. Grandpa gave me an ice rod that had the pegs.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have
where you wrap the liner on the pegs.
You'd hand wrap it. And he gave me like this hand spoon auger and a bucket. And that's all I had. Like I'd walk out and no Vexil or nothing, and just like pray that there's fish there.
No fish here. I guess I'll go and drill another hole somewhere else.
Off. Yeah. So like gradually upgrading equipment through the years, like I'm really thankful that I had those bucket days. Yeah. So then when I had something like this, like it means a fucking lot to me. Like I appreciate it a lot more. I don't know if I'd have the same feeling if I just like was just thrown into like ice castles when I was younger, but
well, I remember growing up, my dad and mom didn't have anything like this.
Yeah.
We'd go out. My dad built I remember the first permanent shack he ever built. It was a big ass skid shack that he drug out on the lake, and it usually sat on one lake.
Yes.
And I remember fishing out of that, but then there was a big period of time where we didn't have one of those either. And when we had he made a pop-up camper into an ice shack.
Oh yeah. Where you replace the fabric with plywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So he had one of those for a little while, and then there was another period of time where we didn't have one, and then he bought a wheelhouse and then upgraded a couple years later.
We rented that wheelhouse one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a new one a couple years later, and then my brother and I bought one, and then my dad sold his because he figured he could use ours. Yeah, because we had one. And then since then, we just have the one, which like exactly what you said. If I would have just started one, I'd
Right.
been like, well, let's just go fishing.
Right.
But
Oh, your guys, that's the first time I've seen your guys' ice castle.
Mhm.
8 by same size,
yep,
8 by 17. You have the hydraulics
yep, and the
Very
taller
jealous.
ceilings.
and the taller ceilings.
Yeah.
I don't mind I don't know. I don't mind my small ceilings, but
No,
I would really like hydraulics in the future. Like when we came out here, I'm sitting there
Yeah.
and I look over and you guys are already down. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to walk around the shack and drop
Right.
each one.
half, and
Yeah.
then I'm like scared, sort of like my cable's snapping. So like every time I crank it, I'm like,
Yeah, I'm gonna stand back like this and
Right.
cover my face.
But no, I still love this thing. I got a lot of this thing's very sentimental to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anything you spend time in and hunt and fish and make memories with
yeah.
family,
Oh,
it's fun.
Love it.
It's the nicest thing about having one of these though is you can come out and you don't feel like you have to catch fish. Like I don't stress about it as long as I'm out enjoying it, having a good time.
I don't even have to be in my ice castle.
Mhm.
Like I could just be in my portable,
Yeah,
smoking cigars.
yeah,
I
hanging
don't care
out.
if I catch fish.
Yeah.
Just
Good
a
to be out.
bonus.
We joke all the time, and it's just like sometimes it's just good to be out.
Dude, it is. It
Yeah.
is. It's great. I love it.
The fish are bonus. I mean, they taste good. They're fun to eat.
Oh yeah.
But
I don't know about you, but like I will not fry fish in here to like
no,
I mean I will, but like if I can mitigate it,
yeah,
I will do it outside. Cause even though I have a fan right above the stove,
Yeah.
it still smells like
Yeah.
fried fish like a week later.
in the
So gross.
in the first shack my parents ever had, it wasn't even an ice castle. It was an ice seeker.
Ice seeker, that's
So,
right.
Yeah, it looked like a camper.
I thought it was an ice cabin. Ice seeker.
Yeah,
right.
no, this one was an ice because they have ice cabins too.
Yeah.
But this was an ice seeker. It was like a knockoff, like ice cabin, basically.
And it had these like the wheel wells in the back.
Yeah, because it had
Yeah.
jacks.
Yeah.
So it had electric jacks that came down, and then I think you pulled a pin on it or something.
I
to
can't
bring up
remember,
the tires.
That's
Well-
the one we rented to go to Mille Lacs. Me
Yeah.
and Tiff.
It might have been. But anyway, my younger brother and his buddies were out fishing, and they fell asleep with a pizza in the oven and burnt the shit out of the pizza.
It's just a brick.
Yeah, well, my brother woke up and crawled out of the shack on the floor because he thought it was on fire because there was that much smoke.
They didn't have smoke detectors?
I guess not. I don't
Oh my
know.
gosh.
But anyway, my parents shortly sold it after
Yeah.
that. And if you go to the lot, like they went to the lot to look at it again,
Yep.
and it still smelled like a burnt frozen pizza. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It just stays in there forever.
It stays in there. Like you
Yeah.
can't air that out.
No. Fish are meant to be fried outside.
Dude, I got a story with that ice seeker where me and Tiff rented it from your parents and we went to Mille Lacs. Like it was one of the first trips I ever took there, and like I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
Just went away from all the crowds, and we didn't really get on them at all. But she wanted a jig. She's never been walleye fishing, and so I like had this rod and I set the drag, set the drag to Mille Lacs standards, like tight, and all of a sudden Tiff hooks into one. And she's like, oh, do I just like start reeling? And I'm like, yeah, just reel. And it's fucking screaming drag. And I'm like,
You're like, did you turn it down?
I'm like, oh my God, that thing's a toad. And she's just nonchalantly like,
yeah.
And like, I'm like, oh my God. Get it up, hog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, reach down, grab it. And she's still like,
oh, cool.
Like, it was 29 inches.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding
You're
me?
like, do you know what you just caught?
Like-
Clearly not, but this is a big deal.
Oh, it was so great.
Yeah.
I got a picture. I'll probably overlay it in this.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
The ice seeker. I thought it was ice cabin.
Mm-mm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But
no,
I remember laying in the back and like it was
just short enough.
It was
just a little bit too short.
But
so no, that's where it all started with wheelhouses. And like I said, then my folks upgraded to there's a gray wolf, one of those, which are pretty common.
Yeah.
And then we fished out of that. But that wasn't hydraulic, and then Brady and I were looking at some hydraulic shacks
Dude.
and bought one. And
Where'd you get yours at?
we bought it from a private party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a guy from like Rush City. So
Nice.
he wanted to sell. He had a kid or something and wasn't going to use it very much.
Right.
So
I like your back wind. Or hold on, the thing I like the most is the hydraulic bed.
yeah,
Oh,
the
my
the
gosh,
electric bed, the lift bed.
I think that's a
Well, that's the nice part about
must.
having the tall ceilings too.
Oh
is
yeah, so
you
just
can
stow
go
it
up a
there,
little
yeah.
bit, and even if you're gonna sleep, you could still. So like when we bring our bed down, we still fish under the bed if there's enough room.
Is it like a ladder, or how do you get up to it?
We just step on like this thing, and just step up. We don't have a ladder, but if you had, I suppose if you had like younger kids and stuff, you'd probably need a ladder.
Just huck them up there.
Yeah, just throw them up there. I fell off back to that skid house.
Yeah.
I fell off the top bunk when I was super young. I rolled off. So
that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Just kidding.
But no. So a lot of the shacks I think now have like railings on them and shit.
Yeah. We might put a little jail cage on that, because like that front dinette turns into a bed.
Yeah.
So I think when Riley gets a little older, it might just, if she's sleeping, and we might just put a little cage in front of that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, she's only been in here a couple times, like for an hour or two. Like, but no, I'm excited. We did toy around with selling this for a little while, but
well, now you can't.
No, I'm not.
Can't do it now.
No way. No way. I think I would sell my bike before the ice castle. Yeah,
which is such a, like, when you look at it from the outside, our whole ice castle thing's
Yeah.
kind of stupid anyway, because it's like most of us only use them for like 3 months out of the year.
No.
But
dude,
I suppose you camp in yours though, don't you? Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I think with our area is that they're so dual purpose, like summer and winter. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't. I haven't used ours for a lot of camping. We use it like we bring it to Country Fest every year, stuff like that. But it'd be fun to go camping with it.
I mean, glorified glamping.
Yeah.
Like, you basically have a house with you.
Yeah. Well,
does yours have the water pack? Like the
no,
water package?
Ours doesn't have the water package.
See, I only got the water package because I was gonna like live in it for work. But if I did it over again, I wouldn't do the
and
whole water
we didn't
package.
just because it's just like, if we're gonna go camping, we're probably gonna go to someplace with bathrooms and showers anyway.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, it just makes me nervous to have water because it's gonna freeze and stuff like that.
If we use the toilet, we flush it with RV antifreeze.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't freeze, but
that's not bad then.
Right. But if I did it over, I wouldn't get the full water package. It's just not worth it.
No.
What else do we got? Oh, I do have a question that I asked Billy, and I still feel bad about this because it was on the second segment, but what's your bucket list fish if you're going to target a specific species or like a region you'd love to fish?
We've talked about going up and fishing greenback walleyes up on Lake Winnipeg. Yeah. That I would say that seems like a short bucket list just because it's actually pretty doable.
Yeah.
But that's something I've always wanted to go do.
Right. I see 1,000 videos on it too.
Well, they make it look easy. It's got to be easy. You just go up there, drop a line in Lake Winnipeg, and catch a 30-inch walleye.
Yeah.
So I would say that's like my short bucket list species, I should say. But I think going on we went deep sea fishing. Or not,
Dude, you just got back from Mexico.
We did.
Yeah.
We didn't fish on this trip, but we fished when we went to Cabo.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
What'd you catch?
I caught a marlin, like a big ass. I think it was a blue marlin. We caught a few marlin, but then my girlfriend caught a mahi.
Yeah.
Which are
those have like the really flat faces, right?
Super colorful.
Green and blue?
Yeah, like green and blue. That was pretty cool. So it'd be fun. I've always wanted to go fish for sharks too. Catch some sharks.
No, thank you.
So that would be fun. I think a lot of that's even shore fishing, which I think is cool. Cast out a big ass pole and sit on the beach.
Thank you. That sounds like a fun trip. And like you said, it's doable. Like
Lake Winnipeg.
Not out of
I will say we went to Green Bay. We were talking about it a little bit before. We went to Green Bay.
That sounds so much fun.
Last spring.
Right.
And you almost think of it as a bucket list trip, but then it's like, well, we did that, and we're gonna do it again this spring.
Right.
That was a fun trip. That was a really fun trip. But anytime you can go up or like go out and
And
catch a bunch of walleye. That's my favorite. I mean, we don't even fish for. Usually, we don't fish for anything other than walleye, which seems so crazy. But in the spring we troll for walleye, in the summer we troll, in the winter we usually just tip up fish or dead stick for walleye. We catch, I would say, quite a few. I mean, it just depends on the time.
I think for our area too, it's like in winter it gets dark quick. By the time you get out to your shack, it's dark. Usually the walleyes hit better after dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like most people target walleyes, but
I would say most people with a job can't fish all day and then pick up right before dark.
Right, no kidding.
And it also helps because I work nights.
Yeah.
So I'm used to staying up all night. So it's like I could stay up all night and fish for walleye. I don't care.
Oh, man. How long have you been on nights?
I've been on nights since I started. This past fall, I took a brief stint on days.
Yeah?
I didn't mind it, but I'm excited to go back to nights. So I started nights again in January. So it's been a while.
But. At least, so do they like shift you from nights, days, sometimes like that? Okay. With my previous job, they would pull that like,
that's ridiculous.
Hey, this week you're going to be on nights, this week you're going to be on days. And it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, it really messed you up. But like, when you were on a stint of like a month of like just straight nights, you're like, all right, I kind of have a system on.
Well, you can kind of start a routine.
Kind of. I mean, you're not really meant to function at night.
Yeah, people are actually not meant to stay up all night. They're supposed to sleep at night. But no, I've always liked working nights, and I still enjoy it. It's the same job, but just a little different experience, which is, I like it more. But my body likes when I work days, not when I work nights.
I could only imagine. But that's tough. I just saw you guys pulled up and were like, hey, we got this fancy new Garmin live scope thing. I see you messing around with it. But other than that, is there anything gear related that you're excited about, or anything new that you guys got ice fishing wise that you're pretty excited about this year?
Ice fishing wise, no, not really. We got rid of all of our polar tip ups.
Oh, the circular ones?
No, like the plastic ones. You know what I'm talking about, like the orange and black ones?
Oh, yeah. Just the regular.
Yeah, we don't have any of those. We moved completely to beaver dams.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is, I think, the best way to go. But,
yeah.
Yeah, we caught it earlier, so that was nice. That was a new thing. We don't use the polars anymore, which is kind of nice. Right. But other than that, just the ice shack. That's a great thing. But no, the live scope. That's gonna be a thing.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a thing.
What's your thoughts on that?
I like it. I know it's controversial.
I like it.
People, especially like,
dude, it's a hot topic.
It is.
Like
in Minnesota, I just saw a big article. Like, there's actual legislators that are like, we're gonna ban live scopes. Which,
dude,
I don't know. Sure, it lets you find the fish, but it doesn't make the fish bite.
Exactly. And I think it comes down to the user and how much of a sportsman you are. Like, if you can get on them and just clobber them, keep your limit every single time, like, it's going to affect the population.
Yeah.
If you're keeping, like, say you're going for crappies and you're keeping, like, 14s, 15s, like, just over and over, like, it's going to destroy the population.
Yeah.
But I think, I would hope most sportsmen, anglers, like, would have enough courtesy to be like, all right, like, just be responsible about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. But like you said, it doesn't make the fish bite your lure. Like,
and it's only as good as the person using it.
Right.
Because I've seen people use lives or like try to use, and I by no means am I an expert because I don't use it very much. But like, it's just like some people don't even know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the person that doesn't know how to use a live scope is just as good as somebody who's looking down the ice hole with their bare eyes. Like it's not going to do them any good unless they know how to use it. But.
I was just listening to Clam's podcast.
Okay. And
they were talking about how I think Care 11 had a news article on forward-facing sonar, and they're kind of bashing it. And these guys were talking about like the DNR is in process of like conducting a study, like a very thorough study. Like hopefully they can come to a conclusion and deal with live sonar after their study is concluded. And they were like, I hope it just doesn't come to a legislator being like, just making a off the whim decision, like, nope, it's bad.
Right.
Done.
Well, and like talk to somebody who knows.
Right.
Like talk to somebody who
Yeah.
uses it.
Right.
Find people you trust, or find a group of people that you trust, and ask them what their opinion on is it based off like actual experience, opposed to just.
And like, I don't have one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of talking out of my ass. I've seen enough videos and stuff of like how they can be utilized as a tool, but I mean, I want one.
Yeah, well, I want one. They're cool. Like,
They're
I
cool.
mean, they're fun to use. They're cool. It's entertaining for me because you get to watch fish like swimming and stuff. But then somebody made a good point. Like a couple weeks ago, we were fishing and we were using a live scope. But then one of my buddies was like, "Yeah, but what's different about that than like a hummingbird or a vexillor?"
Right.
It's like really, it's nothing because you see the mark appear, and then it's like, okay, I see the mark coming up to my bait. So it's mine is just that.
Just the forward facing,
the forward facing or the extended distance that you can see. It's really not any different.
I'll still use my Vexlar. Like I think me and my buddy Michael are probably gonna go in on a I think a Lowrance.
Yeah.
Kind of like the cheapest one, the most basic one you can have, to literally just find them. All right, and I would still use my Vexlar. Like I love that thing.
One of the guys that I know, a guy that fishes and hunts probably more than anybody else I know, and he has a live scope, but he still uses his like Vexlar type thing mostly because he fishes a lot of panfish.
Right.
And the panfish are really finicky, and the Vexlar like system or type system works better for.
I heard it doesn't
panfish.
Like ping them.
Yeah, and there's not as much of a delay, is what a lot of people say.
Right.
There's a little bit more of a delay on the Panoptics than there is. But I mean, I don't know. Long and short of it, like if you got money for it and you want to buy it and you want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, they are not cheap.
They're not.
Oh.
Which I think like defers a lot of people, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are like, oh, fuck, I'll just buy it and then I'm guaranteed to catch fish, which is not true.
I'm sure like Garmin and like when they hear people like that, they're like,
yes. Yeah, I'm in. Sign me up.
Dude, I was going to ask you too, or just like tell you that your pond hockey rink is freaking awesome.
We were out trying to clean it off today because we went on vacation and then it snowed. But yeah, we put some work into that. My two brothers did a lot of work on it, way more than I did.
So like, viewers probably don't know this, but like, okay, I don't want to say where you live, but they're off this highway. There's this tiny pond.
Yep.
And you guys cleared off that rink, put makeshift like lights, boards and everything for this pond hockey rink, and it is the coolest damn thing ever.
Yeah.
And I just like, I see this place, like, do you know Field of Dreams, right?
Yeah.
Like, you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen. Like, this tiny lake is just, I feel like gonna be like that booming, like Eel Pop Fest started with like a tiny group of people, like, and then just like became this huge fest. I hope your guys' ice rink just becomes this like mecca, like here's where it started.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It was fun. So when we went down there the first time this winter, like the whole pond was completely covered in weeds, like to the point where you couldn't even navigate it because it was so weed covered. So we shoveled that off or whatever, and then we flooded it. So it's been an adventure to like work on ice conditions and stuff like that, but with thorough research and trial and error, we're getting it down.
Dude, it's cool.
Figuring it out.
It's awesome.
My little brother made a makeshift Zamboni with a 50-gallon drum and put a turkey burner underneath it.
Dude, I thought that was just like a okay, I know what you're saying. I thought that was like a fire pit. That was it to like warm up. But like,
there's a fire pit out there too. But he took like it's on a garden cart, and then it's a 50-gallon metal drum, and he put a turkey burner underneath it. And it fills it up with water, but then he's got like a PVC pipe that comes down or out and down with a cross member, and he takes like towels. So he runs the water down there, and it soaks the towels and just it smooths it out. So had good luck with it. It's like I said, trial and error. We got to figure it out.
They will come.
That's the goal. So it's a good.
What are you gonna call it?
I don't know. I don't think we've named it yet.
No,
we haven't established a name yet for it, but we're taking recommendations and suggestions, but be fun. We're like I said, we were on vacation, so now we're cleaning it off again, gonna get it back in shape and hopefully play a couple times. Well, we played a couple of times. It's been fun. One time I think we played 4-on-4 and had quite a few people hanging out and
Yeah.
watching and skating and stuff. But
It's cool. Do you have anybody like honk at you?
people honk all the time
Yeah.
when they drive by, especially
It's
when all
cool.
the lights are on and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's fun. It's hopefully people get a little bit of enjoyment
Right.
when they drive by and see people out there enjoying the outdoors and the ice and stuff like that.
What a perfect location.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a perfect location for that to get like oddly huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, why is this a big deal?
Right.
Why do people?
Right.
Why are people coming to play?
dude,
pond
it's
hockey
awesome.
here?
I love it though. Like the first time I was like, "Fuck is oh
Mhm.
like."
Well, I wonder how many people drive by and they're like, exactly what you said, like, what the fuck is that? And then they look
Right.
at it again, like, it's a hockey
see.
rink. That's what that is.
I think since our area is like, we don't have a huge population of walleyes.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm wrong. There might be a ton, and I'm just on the wrong spots. But I just think like coming by walleye is very rare for me in our area.
Yeah.
That when you do catch a walleye, even if it's like
Like the one we caught. Yeah.
whatever, it's like, oh, we're
Wouldn't-
on them.
Isn't it crazy?
I
So
don't
like,
care.
I have a buddy who I would say is a avid outdoorsman, and like he told me this year he's never caught a walleye, never
This
in
year
his life. Yeah.
or in his life.
Like in his life, and he's 23, 24 years old, and it's just like but then I think back and it's like, if I didn't target walleye the way that we do,
Right.
we probably wouldn't catch them. If we didn't fish at night,
True.
didn't use the setups we have, because we use certain walleye setups on all of our tip ups, stuff like that, where it's just like, if I wouldn't target them the way I do, I don't think I'd catch them. So for me, I think it's crazy when you talk to people about walleye fishing around our area, because they're like, well, we don't. I thought they were elusive, which
they are.
I think they are,
elusive. God,
they're not as elusive as people think. You know,
Right.
where it's just like, I think you can catch them. It's just how much time, and then I think there's structure fish and stuff like that too, where you learn how to fish them or where to fish them. But I will say the lake that we're fishing today is a new one where
I've never been out here.
Yeah, I've only
We're
fished
on
it a
Lake
couple times.
Nunya business.
Yeah. It's
But
very,
like I
very
said,
remote. Took us days to get here. You'll never be able to find us.
right. We've got no service.
Yeah, this is actually filmed and uploaded when you get back to
Do you
civilization.
have like my Snapchat location on?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. But no, this is a newer lake for me, but we fished it one other time early season.
Yeah.
I think I told you a little bit about it, but we fished it earlier season. And
Yes.
It was
Yep.
it was good.
Oh.
We actually ice camped in a portable
In the
which
hub?
was in the hub, which was different, especially coming from something like this to
Do it.
on a cot in a hub. But we did well. We fished. There was 3 of us that fished out of the hub, and we had, I think, 6, 7 tip-ups out, a couple of set lines in the hub. But that night we did well. We caught, what did we say, 4 over? Yeah, 4.
Oh yeah, and you said this plate.
4 over 23 inches.
Yeah, and
Real
like there's a
healthy walleye.
weird slot out here.
Yeah, it is a weird slot. We're not gonna tell you the slot though, because then you might figure out what lake we're on. But,
Right. Good catch, because I almost said it.
Yeah, we don't want that. But no, new lake. This is something that I'll be honest, we don't do a lot. We don't try new lakes. We fish the one lake that we all fish because it used to be so easy. It is so easy to fish, but it's just,
I do. I know what you're talking about,
Mhm.
and it's a blessing and a curse because you're like, okay, well,
there's really no art to
is
it
right.
out there. There's no art to it out there.
No.
You just go out there and set some lines out. And
right.
you're
Doesn't
either gonna
matter where
catch
you
'em or
are.
not.
You're in the same depth.
From one end of the lake to the
Yep.
other. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But so, like I said, this is new for us. It's been a fun adventure. Hopefully, we get into them tonight. We're gonna stay out all night. So
Right, I am too. I'm gonna
give it
edit
a
this whole
try,
thing.
and
So.
we'll see. But
I don't know. Do you have any? I know you got lines in.
yeah,
You got any blinkers?
we use Lighthouse lights. Shout out to Lighthouse. I think that they don't make them anymore, which is super unfortunate. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they make them anymore. But we use Lighthouse lights and then blue tips.
I love blue tips, but I see the advantage of the Lighthouse where when it spins, the light you can actually see if it's spinning, the light will spin on the spindle. So I do like that aspect of it because you can tell if something's running with it or not.
If it's moving, right.
But blue tips, I can't say enough good things about blue tips. I love them so much.
So peacefully at night, knowing you don't have to wake up every 20 minutes and look out the window.
I know. Like, yeah, you guys have the the receiver
Yep.
as well. But the thing that I like most about those is just how good they're constructed, where like in the housing
Mhm.
there's a gasket in it.
Yeah.
So there's no moisture getting into
Yeah.
that circuit board or batteries.
Yeah.
So it will last you. Like I've had mine for 6
I
years
say
now.
you've had them longer than we have.
Oh, dude. Like you'd always get like the twist lights,
Mhm.
you know, which the OG
like the Frable
lights.
ones, yeah.
OG Frable
Yeah.
yellow
The
lights
little
that
yellow
had the
ones.
shitty circular batteries. Like you'd use those for one season, they'd rust out.
Yeah.
2 seasons at most. Whatever.
Yep.
But
or the North Star. Remember the North Star lights? They're like the yellow ones that look kind of like the blue tips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but you could turn
they're
the
bigger.
colors.
They're
a little
bigger.
bit different.
Yep.
Or a little bit bigger, but you could turn them to like orange or yellow.
Yes.
Or whatever
Dude,
colors they were.
And I like, I don't know about you guys, but I switched my blue tip colors to blue.
Oh,
so
I didn't
like
know you could do that.
I can differentiate like people's.
Can you do that on the app?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
if you want green, whatever color
just
you want,
whatever you're
just
feeling that
whatever
night.
you're feeling, yeah. And you can switch them. Like I want one red, white, and blue.
See, I didn't know you could switch colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody always has red.
Right.
Red or yellow.
Right.
Or orange, I should say.
Actually, so I've used them. I don't know if. Okay, so situation. I had all 4 of my receivers or lights out. I had another person there. I wasn't like over the lines or whatever. But, so me and my buddy had our tip ups out, and then like my receiver would go off, but none of my flags would be up. So I'm like, is someone else out here have these? So I don't know if they're programmed to each other when you first turn them on. I always thought about that too,
because we have like 12.
I know.
We have 12 of the lights just because there's 4 of us that fish all the time. But it's just like I wondered if you had your blue tips out, if our receiver would go off.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's
a good question.
And I wish we could try that out, but my blue tips are at home.
Yeah. Well, and you got 3 lines in the shack, and that's the way to do it.
Right.
We're tip up fishing. We have lines in the shacks.
No,
I also tip up fishing too.
I like tip up fishing. Like, just for this podcast, like, I love keeping lines outside the shack. Like I was talking in my last podcast. I think the light and the noise affects, what's down below. I do like to keep tip ups out, but just in this instance, I don't want to like, oh, we got a blinker, let's go outside. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome that you can catch it in here on the podcast. It's clearly some of the wall. I don't care.
I'm hoping, dude. I got extremely lucky. The 2 we've had now.
Yeah.
The guest has caught one.
That's a good
really
streak.
Bad if I know.
That's a good streak.
I know. And I just like. I hope it just keeps going.
Right?
Just one keeps it like little pizzazz.
Just one keeps it true.
Right.
2 scoops keeps it true in the shack.
I love it. I freaking love this.
Yeah, but there's not much better than fishing.
Right.
Just being out with people you enjoy spending time with and catching fish on the side and stuff like that.
It's great, and you're comfortable. Like, I could be in a t-shirt right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice too, just because if you aren't catching fish, you're still comfortable. It's
like, and then usually the TV's ripping. You're watching something stupid.
What are you gonna do at home that you're not gonna do in the ice shack?
I know, dude. And I like this too, also, because like I'll sit here and edit videos and stuff, and it's like kind of my own little office space. Yeah, I love it.
I've brought my laptop out fishing before and sat at the dinette and worked on stuff and killing a couple birds with 2 stones, or killing one bird with 2 stones and get work done and fish at the same time.
It's great. I wonder if I can write this thing off. It's an office space.
Hey,
I definitely can. Yeah. I will.
Yeah. It's office. It's a business expense.
Dude, I think we covered a lot of stuff, and I knew this was gonna be fun as shit.
Yeah. But... I'm glad you had me out. Yeah. Happy to be here. Happy that I get to be the second one. And
second one.
We'll see how
it goes. A little better. No, this will be a little longer.
Hopefully, when you blow up and.
I want to blow up.
There's millions of people that watch this, so go back and watch the first couple, right? Billy and I need some remembrance.
Yep.
Like, hey, check us out. We're the ones that started this with Dayton. But no,
I don't know, man. I know that right now, this platform is like super local. Like, I want to keep it that way until I can get my shit like dialed in.
Right.
So.
I think it gives
hopefully get
people a
some
good
whales in it.
opportunity to come out and like talk about
Dude, it's
stuff and just be open and honest. And
Yeah.
people in our area love the outdoors, and like you said, it's a unique setting. I don't know anybody else that hosts podcasts in an ice shack. It's
I've
pretty
seen
cool. Have you seen a couple?
I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
Seen a couple, and they've got way better professional equipment and everything, but I don't think they actually have lines in.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Catching a fish
Yeah.
proves that you're not in a parking lot.
They definitely don't have shitty scoops as
As
microphones.
Hey, maybe that's what the fish like, though.
I don't know, man. I love it, though.
Right?
I love it.
Nah, I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can do it again sometime, and things go well, and
I
everything
appreciate you
works
coming.
out. So, yeah, no problem. Anytime. So.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being out here with me. And if you like what you heard, like what you saw, please leave me a like. Subscribe. Helps my channel out. Helps this thing to grow. And we'll scoop you later. God. That's it.
Good.